On the 6th day of October in the year 1943, amidst the turbulent waters surrounding the Solomon Islands, a scene unfolded that would become legendary in naval history. The vast expanse of Blackett Strait was cloaked in darkness, its surface as black as pitch, swallowed almost entirely by an unyielding shroud of thick, impenetrable clouds overhead. The night was eerily silent except for the rhythmic hum of a Japanese destroyer, the Amagiri, slicing through the calm sea at an astonishing 30 knots, its powerful engines resonating with a deafening roar. On deck, the crew members, casual as if on a routine voyage, shared smoking breaks, completely oblivious to the imminent catastrophe that lurked just over the horizon. Suddenly, the ship's radar flickered to life with a blip about 800 yards off the port side. At first, the crew dismissed it as nothing more than debris or perhaps a drifting object, something insignificant and benign. But that small, fleeting signal exhibited an abnormality. It moved faster than any typical floating obstacle should. Almost instantaneously, 3 white streaks of foam erupted from the dark water, slicing through the night with ferocious speed like claws clawing at the sky. These were torpedoes, hurtling towards the Japanese vessel with deadly intent. Behind them, a shadowy silhouette, roughly 80 feet in length, surged directly at the destroyer, pushing forward at an impatient 40 knots. The destroyer's guns erupted in frantic fire, attempting to intercept the oncoming warheads, but they were utterly unable to keep pace. In less than a minute and a half, chaos erupted. An explosion of water, detonations, screams, and frantic commands filled the air. The sea was instantly transformed into a tumultuous battlefield, unleashing hell upon the once confident Japanese fleet. What the Imperial Japanese Navy believed about their strategies and weapons was shattered in those fleeting moments. They had not anticipated such an attack from small, seemingly insignificant vessels. These were not massive cruisers or stealthy submarines. They were patrol torpedo boats, constructed primarily out of plywood, powered by gasoline engines, and driven by an audacious American spirit that refused to be subdued. Small and seemingly disposable, these vessels had hitherto been dismissed by many as mere nuisances, faster ships with a reputation as little more than nuisance weapons, easily brushed aside. But that night, the nuisance evolved into a nightmarish threat, rewriting the rules of combat at sea. The Japanese destroyers, built with armor plating and formidable artillery in mind, had never envisioned their enemies fighting in such a chaotic and unpredictable manner. They were designed for traditional warfare, slower, heavily armored ships engaging in long-range gunfire exchanges. But at speed pushing past 40 knots, the very rules that governed naval combat at the time seemed to dissolve. In the vast Pacific theater, the United States shipbuilding yards brimmed with steel and firepower, including battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. Yet, none of these major vessels could match the unconventional tactics needed for the numerous, shallow, and often treacherous waters surrounding the islands. It was clear a new solution was necessary, something faster, more agile, and capable of operating effectively in the narrow confines of reef-protected waters. This need propelled engineers at 2 American manufacturing giants, Higgins Industries and Elco, into a flurry of innovation. Their task was daunting: to develop a vessel capable of outrunning enemy ships and torpedoes, and to do it cheaply and quickly. The outcome was a truly peculiar-looking wooden craft measuring about 80 feet in length, resembling a high-performance speedboat more than a traditional warship. This craft was equipped with 4 torpedoes, a few machine guns, and a crew of 12 brave men, all packed into a vessel that seemed almost fragile compared to the mighty steel ships of a traditional navy. The Navy designated it a PT boat, a patrol torpedo boat, designed for quick strikes and rapid retreats. However, the sailors who served aboard these boats were often less than enthusiastic about their apparent fragility. They affectionately, or perhaps critically, referred to them as the plywood coffin, a nickname reflecting their quick, flimsily built appearance and the dangerous nature of their missions. The initial sorties of these vessels, however, were marked by disaster. Their primary weapon at the time, the Mark 8 torpedo, frequently misfired, ran too deep, or were detected prematurely by vigilant Japanese forces. Against larger, heavily armored destroyers, these boats seemed to splinter into splinters, much like fragile matches struck at the slightest contact. Many skeptics dismissed the PT boats as mere publicity stunts or gimmicks, arguing they were too fragile and ineffective for real combat. Even veteran Navy destroyer captains scoffed at their potential, joking that the PT boys may have their fun, but they'll be gone before sunrise. Yet, amidst this skepticism, far away in Detroit, an unseen revolution was quietly gaining momentum. The Packard Motor Company, renowned for crafting engines for racing cars and the legendary P-51 51 Mustangs, was developing a powerful new marine engine, an extraordinary 12-cylinder power plant capable of producing around 1,350 horsepower. This was no ordinary engine. It was a marvel of engineering. By mounting 3 of these mammoth engines side by side, the combined power of the entire propulsion system in a PT boat soared to a staggering 4,050 horsepower. This transformation turned the delicate-looking plywood vessel into a genuine weapon of speed and agility. With this newfound power, the PT boats could reach astonishing speeds of approximately 41 knots, faster than any destroyer, faster than the Japanese escort ships, and quick enough to outrun their own torpedoes. Such speed was unprecedented in the history of naval warfare, changing the dynamics of small-scale naval engagement in the Pacific. The waters of the region had never encountered vessels capable of such rapid movement before. But undeniable as speed was, it proved insufficient alone to guarantee victory in the complex, dangerous theater of the Pacific. The story of these revolutionary vessels was only beginning, and it was clear that the rapid, unpredictable, and aggressive tactics they enabled would forever alter the nature of naval combat in the Pacific theater, proving that sometimes, in war, speed and audacity could triumph over armor and firepower. The United States had to innovate and develop entirely new tactics to transform these delicate, seemingly insignificant boats into lethal destroyer killers, and this transformation was imminent. In the year of 1942, the Imperial Japanese Navy's core strategic doctrine was rooted deeply in one fundamental principle: pride. It was driven by a compelling vision to achieve a swift, decisive battle that would cement their dominance. Their military legacy drew heavily from historic victories such as Tsushima, and their fleet boasted an impressive array of immense ships, including hefty cruisers, swift torpedo destroyers, and the legendary battleships Yamato and Musashi. Within this framework, small boats were regarded as nothing more than trivial tools, suitable perhaps for guarding harbors or chasing away smugglers, but certainly not as credible contenders against the might of the Emperor's formidable destroyers. When Japanese officers first encountered the American patrol torpedo boats, they responded with dismissive laughter. To them, these vessels resembled bothersome mosquitoes, annoying yet entirely harmless in their eyes. Reports from the field described the PT boats as constructed from wood, fragile, and unreliable, leading one Japanese captain to joke that with just a single hit, these boats would ignite and burn to ashes like dry kindling. What they failed to grasp at that moment was that these small, seemingly fragile craft were rapidly evolving, outpacing Japanese expectations in the vast expanse of the Pacific. Each unsuccessful mission served as a valuable lesson, guiding the Americans to refine their tactics continuously. PT boat crews began working together more cohesively, executing coordinated strikes. One boat would attract enemy fire, drawing the destroyer's attention, while another circled around at a wide berth, ready to launch torpedoes precisely at the targeted vessel. By the time the Japanese destroyers started to recognize the threat, the PT squadrons had already transformed the night sea into an elaborate trap. Japan's war planning centered around one ultimate, decisive naval engagement, a colossal clash that they believed would determine the fate of the Pacific War. However, instead of decisive battles, their forces were being worn down by countless smaller, precisely executed attacks, what could be termed a death by 1,000 wooden cuts. Speed and agility had become invaluable, not just as advantages, but as entirely new forms of weaponry. The simple, swift movement of these small boats spelled danger and changed the course of naval combat. On October the 6th, in the year of 1943, the waters of the Solomon Islands earned a notorious reputation, being known among locals as Iron Bottom Sound. This ominous name was a reflection of the countless ships that had been lost in this treacherous stretch of ocean, their wrecks resting on the seabed like silent testament to fierce battles. That night, for American PT boats, designated PT-59, PT-157, PT-162, and PT-70, concealed themselves in an ambush position. Their mission was to intercept the Japanese destroyers transporting supplies along the Tokyo Express route. Nighttime convoys of high-speed vessels tasked with sustaining Japan's island garrisons and keeping them supplied at all costs. The sea was cloaked in impenetrable darkness, with engines running at minimal volume, whispering almost silently through the water. The crew members remained alert and prepared, scanning the waters for any sign of approaching enemy ships. Just after midnight, the radar system detected faint echoes, signals that indicated fast-moving, powerful signatures slicing through the channel. These were the Japanese destroyers. The American sailors understood precisely what this meant. Moments away from the emergence of searchlights and the thunderous burst of 5-inch shells illuminating the sky as they engaged in combat. Yet, this time, the PT boats did not retreat or scatter in panic. Instead, they launched a daring assault. Within mere moments, they reached their targets, closing rapidly. At a distance of just about 1,000 yards, PT-70 unleashed a barrage of torpedoes, followed swiftly by PT-162. Seconds later, the night was shattered by a deafening explosion. The Japanese destroyer Yugure, weighing approximately 290 tons of steel, was lifted from the water, torn into two, and sank in a matter of minutes. That entire process, straight from the initial attack to the sinking, took only a remarkable 26 minutes. To put it plainly, in under half an hour, a wooden vessel had managed to destroy a fully armed and formidable Imperial destroyer, a feat that had never before been seen in open combat. This unprecedented victory sent shockwaves throughout the Japanese military hierarchy. Japanese commanders were bewildered. How could a vessel constructed primarily from plywood and fueled by gasoline, deemed fragile and crude, manage to defeat a steel-constructed destroyer? The answer was surprisingly simple yet profound. It was all about speed, flawless coordination, and unwavering nerve. From that night forward, every captain of a Japanese destroyer understood a stark reality. The greatest threat lurking in the waters of the Solomon Islands was no longer the aircraft or the submarines. It was these small, swift, and cunning boats capable of turning naval warfare on its head, one daring attack at a time. Silent and nearly invisible, the PT boats streaked across the water at astonishing speeds, reaching up to 40 knots, only to disappear just as swiftly as they had appeared. This sudden, relentless rise in their effectiveness instilled a new sense of fear within the Japanese Naval Command, fundamentally altering the rhythm and strategy of Japan's operations across the vast Pacific theater. The once formidable Tokyo Express, which had long carried supplies, reinforcements, and vital resources to Japanese-held islands, now operated under a cloud of dread, its reliability undermined by these swift and agile vessels. The repercussions of this shift were profound and far-reaching. Japanese island garrisons found themselves increasingly isolated and starved of essential provisions, unable to sustain themselves effectively. While the PT boats did not always manage to destroy enemy ships outright, their primary impact was in disruption and interference. By effectively isolating Japanese positions and severing supply lines, they strangled the flow of vital resources and reinforcements, causing a crisis of supply that was often more debilitating than outright destruction. In terms of cost and human investment, each PT boat represented an expenditure of just a few $1,000s and a crew of 12 men, a stark contrast to a Japanese destroyer, which could cost millions of dollars and required a full crew of over 200 sailors. This stark disparity highlighted the efficiency and strategic advantage of these smaller, nimble vessels. The lessons that Japan drew from this new maritime reality were clear and unmistakable. Future naval warfare would hinge on speed and flexibility, emphasizing adaptability over brute force or size. In the chaos of war, it became evident that even the smallest vessels could leave the most profound and lasting effects, carving deep and lasting wakes across the waters of the Pacific. The legacy of the PT boats extended far beyond the tactical victories they contributed. It lay in the wave of fear they inspired and the strategic paradigm they compelled nations to reassess. For Japan, the measure of naval strength had historically been in tonnage and sheer size, but the United States demonstrated that true power was measured in throughput and capability to adapt swiftly to changing circumstances. As the war progressed, these small but swift vessels proved that innovation and agility could decisively influence the course of conflict. Their story serves as a powerful reminder that in both warfare and history, victory often does not belong to the largest or most brute force entities, but to those who can adapt the quickest and think most creatively. Ultimately, the saga of the PT boats underscores a fundamental truth. In the theater of war, it is not just the size of your ship that matters, but how swiftly and effectively you can respond to the evolving demands of the battle.